Alright, I think some of you might unfollow me for this, but just hear me out. I just started Season 5 of Sopranos for the very first time. If you've been following along, there was a time a couple years ago I tried to watch it, but I fell off in the first season. I was like, no, we've got to get this done. We have to watch Sopranos. You're gonna be a TV junkie. You gotta watch Sopranos. So first time around, that was still during when Breaking Bad was airing, and there was just too much similarity, and I couldn't get over the direct comparison. But now, years have gone by, and I'm able to see Sopranos in the light of its own show. I'm not comparing it to other things. Obviously, there are comparisons to different similar shows, but I'm not saying, is it as good as this? Is it good as this? Is it good as this? Is it good as this? I'm just watching it for what it is. It took a while to get used to the pacing of the show, because it's not like one episode is one day, or there's any type of markers that will show, oh, this is happening tomorrow, and so it's stuff like that. You just jump from thing to thing to thing to thing. It could be the next day, it could be the next week. You have no idea. But I thought that was just maybe something, I would have to get used to, and not necessarily something I didn't like about the show. But I'm starting to realize I think that's something I don't like about the show. I made a video about in Season 2 when Tony passed out at some party for Meadow and everything, and then just cuts to a completely different day, whereas I would have liked to seen how people reacted in the moment to Tony passing out in public. I think that was the first time he was passing out in front of, the family. Then we get to whenever it is with all the stuff going on with Jackie Jr., and, Jackie Jr.'s part of the story and is there for Meadow. And then just randomly, he's like, hey, why don't we rob a game? And they go to rob the game, and then he's gone. And I believe that was the end of the season, right? That was the season finale? And so I guess that would be Season 4 going in. I'm like, oh, bet. Okay, now we got a new aspect of, what's going to happen with Jackie Jr. That's going to be a good way to show how you can be on the other side of Tony instead of being part of the family. Now you've gone against the family. What kind of tactics are they going to use to find him? Maybe a couple instances where there's a close call and Jackie gets away and, whatever. Nope. Just popped him in the back of the head. What was the point of spending all of that time with that character? If it's just gonna pop and over, never mentioned again. I don't get it. And there's a lot of that. For example, maybe this will come back, but when AJ is about to go to military school and then he randomly just passes out, that never came up before and hasn't been touched since, and I don't think it's going to be addressed again at all. And so instead of adding depth to the character of AJ, and now he's experiencing some of the things like his dad is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that going to show something within Tony? And da-da-da-da-da-da. No, it's just a plot device so that he doesn't have to go to military school and can still be in the show. Don't get me wrong, guys. It is an absolutely interesting story to watch. But stepping back, if we are going to compare it to other TV shows and other stories that are told on television, there is no way that you could say that the storytelling of Sopranos is anywhere close to something like Succession, anywhere close to something like Better Call Saul. Let's leave Breaking Bad out of it. There's just other shows where the characters, you get to know them so well because you see them in certain circumstances and how they act within those circumstances. Whereas Sopranos, it's just like, if this is the whole timeline, you get a peek here, 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 instead of taking this timeline and watching everything that's going on and being able to be told a cohesive story. I've also made videos about how TV today is too direct, and I enjoy the subtlety of Sopranos, but the problem is that it's too subtle. There needs to be enough of a plot. Try this exercise. You tell me, what were the events, just the plot points of Better Call Saul? Just list what happened in Better Call Saul. List what happened in Succession. List what happened in Lost. Now, try to do that with The Sopranos. You can't do it. You can't do it. You could try, but somebody else is going to have a different interpretation of what took how long, when it happened, why that happened, all that kind of stuff. And again, that's certainly an interesting thing to exist. But for me personally, I want to be told a story. I don't want to be told, hey, there's this story that occurs that's about this. You fill in the blanks. Again, I appreciate subtlety. I don't want it to be spoon-fed to me, but I would like to eat it, if we're going with the analogy. There's no way I'm not going to finish the show. So I absolutely will get through everything and have a full understanding of what the show is. But at this point, I don't think it can come back from the lack of depth that so many of the characters have. Tell me anything about AJ. He likes heavy metal music and he smokes. Tell me anything about Janice. Tell me anything about any of these characters. There's just no depth to them. They have enough emotionality to give depth to Tony and, Carmela, I would argue, a couple other the main characters, but they just drop people in as plot devices. Whereas in these other shows that I'm listing, every single person is there for a reason. Every word that they say is building to something within the show, and Sopranos just doesn't do that. I think a lot of you who love Sopranos, I could imagine that if I was in 2000 whatever, and I was watching week to week, and I tuned in and I was like, I want to see an episode of what I've got used to is The Sopranos, then I would probably love this show because it is consistent, if nothing else. It is absolutely consistent. But that being said, 5 seasons in, I shouldn't be watching an episode, and aside from the different characters, it's an episode, tonality-wise, emotionality, the way that Tony would react, all those things, it's an episode that could find itself at home in season 1, 2, 3, or 4, and there should be growth. Again, think about the difference between who Slippin' Jimmy is at the beginning of Better Call Saul, or who Kendall Roy is at the beginning of Succession, versus who those characters are at the end. Now do that with Tony Soprano. He's the same guy, and that's where we're getting the most character depth. Everybody else is literally just a stereotype. So yes, Sopranos is overrated, but it is still a really good show. It's just not nearly as good as some of the shows that have come after it and have been better dramas, better stories. Now, if Sopranos is your favorite show, I'm not trying to tell you you shouldn't have a favorite show. That's just my opinion. But I'm completely right.